Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. We got a packed show lined up for you guys today. Starting right off the top, we're going to talk about the playoff games last night, starting with the New York Knicks versus the Detroit Pistons, who went to war last night in Game 3 in Detroit. Detroit obviously having a long playoff drought, not having a lot of playoff success over the last 20 years or so. Finally coming back home to Detroit after winning a game in New York. That crowd was bumping. That crowd was ready to go. We're going to recap that game and everything that transpired in that one and what it really means down the line as we continue on in this series next to Game 4 on Sunday evening. From there, we're going to take a look at the Los Angeles Lakers. They have a massive Game 3 tonight in similar situations as the New York Knicks last night. Splitting their series in LA, going over to Minnesota now, going into a hostile environment. How are they going to handle it, and what can we really expect from that series as we continue on? Or what can we expect from this game? So we're going to preview everything to know about that game. From there, we're going to take a look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, who had an unbelievable comeback last night. If you guys didn't see it, coming back from 29 down at halftime, I believe. A little midway, probably about 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. The Memphis Grizzlies increasing their lead over the Thunder by 29 points. And we'll talk a little bit about what happened and how the Thunder were able to secure this win and the comeback in general. And then to finish off the show, of course, we're going to do our classic predictions for the weekend. Give a little bit of previews for both tonight and the weekend slate as well in our last segment. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. We're getting right into it here. I apologize for whatever reason. I'm stumbling over my words early in this morning, but it is a Friday morning to everybody. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday morning, and let's get right into the NBA basketball content. Starting right off the top, we're going to talk about the New York Knicks. They had a massive Game 3 last night against the Detroit Pistons, a game that, honestly, either team, whoever won this game, really dictated the momentum going into Game 4 and really going into this next part of the series. Going up 2-1 is a big thing. If you can win the next game, you're automatically up 3-1, and you've pretty much stapled your way into the second round. Unless you only have to win one of the next 4 or 3 games. So you give yourself a great opportunity to get it done. But this was an unbelievable game all around. Really ping pong back and forth. The New York Knicks really taking control of the momentum early on. Something I wasn't expecting. I thought the Detroit Pistons were going to come out guns blazing, just firing on all cylinders, ready to go. Absolutely. I thought they're going to show up like they got shot out of a cannon. The second that crowd got into it, the second that ball went up in the air for the tip-off, that's what I expected. And shocking enough, it was the physicality and the play of this New York Knicks team, specifically of Karl-Anthony Towns, who had 31 points in this one. Karl-Anthony Towns that got absolutely demolished by critics after his performance in Game 2, going for 0 points in the second half, only having 10 points in that game. Something that you don't expect. A player like Karl-Anthony Towns, when you trade a player like Julius Randle to get Karl-Anthony Towns, you trade Dante DiVincenzo, you trade a lot of assets away to get a star player to couple with Jalen Brunson. You don't expect that star player to only go off for 10 points and get pretty much shut down by a rookie center, even though it is Jalen Duren, and Jalen Duren has played phenomenally this year. Karl-Anthony Towns we expected better from in game 2. Pistons winning that game a great deal because of Jalen Duren and his play down the stretch, guarding Karl-Anthony Towns and getting easy buckets. But Karl-Anthony Towns making his presence known last night and went off for 31 points. Fast forwarding later in the game, in the fourth quarter, the New York Knicks found themselves up by 9. Was it 9? It might have been all the way up. I think it was actually all the way up to 11 at one point. Found themselves all the way up to, but with an 11-point lead with under 5 minutes to play. I personally sitting there watching TV like, oh, this game's over. Why are we like? Well, the New York Knicks should win this game. I don't know what else to think. I was a little bit disappointed because I made my Pistons prediction here yesterday, but nonetheless, this is the NBA playoffs. We're not betting here. We're just picking games. We're nitpicking between teams and predicting what's going to happen between grown men going onto the court and playing the sport of basketball, which they love. And of course, the luck of the shot also plays into it as well. But with an 11-point lead with under 5 minutes to go, you really think this one's pretty much not 100% over with, but definitely looks like trending towards a New York Knicks win. Then the Detroit Pistons wake up. Pistons go on a 10-2 run over the next, well, I think actually they went on a 12-4 run over the next 3 minutes and cut the lead down to 2 points, I believe, maybe even less. It might have been a tie. No, it was 3 points. They cut the lead all the way down to 3 points with under 2 minutes to play. And that's when you start to see the eyebrows go up. Hold on now. The New York Knicks going to sell another lead, something that they've been notorious for. We remember them against the Cleveland Cavaliers earlier this year. We've seen them blow leads multiple times in the NBA playoffs. We've seen them in the regular season multiple times, especially over the Tom Thibodeau era over the last 4 years. We've seen them blow a lot of leads. But this one, New York Knicks made sure not to fall into that category. The play of Mikal Bridges down the stretch, the defense of Karl-Anthony Towns, the offense, of course, the spectacular offense of Jalen Brunson, which was on display all night long. This team played team basketball down the stretch, believing in one another, and that unity is a big reason why they escaped Detroit last night with that win. Jalen Brunson also finishing with 30 points in this one. Pretty great performance. Honestly, I said my prediction was that unless Jalen Brunson or another player goes off for, say, 35 for Brunson, 25 for the other player, I don't think the Knicks are going to win this game. I thought it was either going to take a Herculean effort from Jalen Brunson with 35, 40-plus points, or it was going to take a duo. And I won't lie. Karl-Anthony Towns slipped my mind. I thought Mikal Bridges could be that guy. I thought OG Anunoby, we've seen little sparks of him, little snapshots of that number 2 Robin-esque performance from OG Anunoby in the regular season. But it was always apparently it was always Karl-Anthony Towns, and it was the last play. It was one of the last players in my mind that I thought would do so. I thought the defensive prowess of Jalen Duren would be too much for Karl-Anthony Towns to exploit to this level. And honestly, it's very this takes this series for another turn, really, because what do we expect now? We know Jalen Brunson is a stud who can shoot it whenever he wants. He's a shooter. We know Mikal Bridges, who's a shooter. He can get going whenever he wants. Even though he struggled a little bit this year, he's still Mikal Bridges now. He can still go off for 25 points whenever he wants. That's really what you need from the New York Knicks. You need Jalen Brunson to go for 30, 35 points and a Robin to go for 20 to 25. What you can't have is Jalen Brunson go for 40 and then the other guy go for 20 or under 20 points. Have a bunch of guys go for 15. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Having a bunch of role guys around Jalen Brunson against this Pistons team, with how deep they are, with how they play defense, is not going to work down the stretch. And so that's just that. That's what we saw in this one. And major props to Karl-Anthony Towns for making it happen. It does take this series for a turn. It throws a little bit of an extra spin off in this series because it throws in another possibility. Karl-Anthony Towns, I simply was not expecting him to have a performance the way he did last night, and the way he did, it raised eyebrows. It really did. It made up for all of the mistakes that he had in game 2, made up for the blunder of a second half that he had in game 2. And his aggressiveness is what the New York Knicks need, not only to win this series, but if they want to be competitive in the next series in the second round. We'll talk a little bit more of that. We'll talk a little bit more about that when that other series becomes a little bit closer, a little bit more. We can just say, okay, honestly, I'll say it. Unless the Orlando Magic win tonight, I'm projecting the Boston Celtics to meet whoever wins this series in the second round. And Karl-Anthony Towns is going to play a big deal if the New York Knicks want to have a bottle look of a chance. Honestly, they have a good chance. They're still an incredibly talented team. I can't let my Boston Celtics fandom get in the way. Because the New York Knicks are still a great team. We got to give them credit where credit is due. And the regular season is behind them. The regular season, they may have gone 0-4 against the Boston Celtics. It is what it is. But the playoffs are a new game. No Jason Tatum, or a hobbled Jason Tatum, and Karl-Anthony Towns playing the way he did last night, the New York Knicks could still be competitive against the Boston Celtics. There is still a world that does happen. But we'll take a little bit more of an outlook in that series when we get there. I didn't really talk about the other side of this one very much so far. Cade Cunningham for the Detroit Pistons. 2 players leading the way for the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham and Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. finishing with 24 points, 7 of 12 from three-point range. A big reason why they've started going on their comeback late in the fourth quarter. Dennis Schroeder also having 18. Jalen Duren with 16. Cade Cunningham as well, I glossed over. Shot 10 of 25 from the field. 24 points for him, 11 assists. Another facilitating performance from Cade Cunningham. But we need to see his shooting numbers improve because 40% from the field, he didn't shoot terribly. It's not that he shot 7 of 21 or 6 of 15. It's not those numbers. He did make double-digit field goals. But at the same time, his efficiency needs to go up, or else issues like last night can happen. The Pistons brought this game to within 2 points. The final score was 118 to 116. At one point, like I mentioned, it was actually 13 points. It was 104 to 91 midway through the fourth quarter. And the Pistons clawing their way back into this one late in the game to make it interesting. Cade Cunningham did miss a couple shots down the stretch that we normally see him make. While they were tough shots, don't get me wrong, but just shots that we normally expect him to see him make from time to time. Even if he split, but he did not shoot very well down the stretch in that over the last 5 minutes. I believe only shooting like 1 for 5, 1 for 6 down the stretch. So we expect better from him. We know he can shoot better, and we expect him to come out in game 4 with more of a sense of urgency. And that's exactly where I want to go with this one. I'm still picking the Detroit Pistons to win game 4, to split in Detroit and come back in game 5 with a better sense of what to do next for this team. So we'll see how it goes. If it's tied up 2-2 for the next best of 3, 5, 6, and games 5, 6, and 7, it's a whole new series, and we're going to cover that when we see it. But game 4 of the series transpiring on Sunday evening, and unfortunately, I wish I could preview that series with you guys, that game with you guys, but yeah, I got the Pistons in that one, and we'll talk a little bit more on Monday with how that game ends up going. I see a chat in the chat box. Andre, Pistons need a second option so badly, man. 100%. They're one of those teams. They remind me a lot of the Orlando Magic, where they just need another guy around their star player, around their big. They have a good star player. They have a great big man. They have a great coach, a great bunch of role players. But they need another star player to not only blossom with, to kind of mentor Cade Cunningham a little bit, but to also relieve some of that pressure off Cade as well. Giving another reliable scorer would help this team, would go a long way for this team. But yeah, I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the Los Angeles Lakers have a massive game 3 tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves. We're going to take a look at the keys to this one, how the Lakers can honestly kind of turn this series around after going down big and losing big in game 1. But Anthony Edwards and this Minnesota team is going to be fired up for this game in front of their home crowd for the first time, winning game 1, getting beaten down in game 2. They're going to come down like getting shot out of a cannon, and it's going to be up to the Los Angeles Lakers offense to be able to keep up with that surge. So I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at Los Angeles Lakers basketball.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting right back into it here, we're going to take a look at the Los Angeles Lakers Game 3 against the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. Minnesota finally hosting a game in this series. The next 2 games, obviously, Game 3 and Game 4, splitting with the Los Angeles Lakers in LA. And we're going to take a look at the keys for both of these teams for this Game 3 and what to really expect from both of them. Overall, because this is a massive game, and whoever wins this game really takes control of this series. Game 3 and Game 4 are over the weekend, so we'll honestly preview both of these games. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at GSMC Podcast for your questions. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. And I've said it before, you guys are a big part of what we do here at the GSMC Sports Network. Your comments, both positive and negative, let us know what you guys think. Let us know what we're doing well so we can keep doing it. Let us know what we can improve upon so we can fix those. Let us know what you guys want to hear more of. Overall, you guys are a big part of what we do here, so we appreciate all of the comments, all the questions, you keeping it interactive, and we appreciate you guys for being here. But getting right back into it here, we got the Los Angeles Lakers and Minnesota Timberwolves, a series that has been really circled for a lot of people in the NBA world, a lot of NBA fans, including myself. I thought this series was going to be a 6-game series. I thought the Los Angeles Lakers were going to stroll through LA. We're going to go into Minnesota, split in Minnesota, and Minnesota probably win Game 5, and then they go back to Minnesota and win Game 6. The Lakers win Game 6 to end this one. That's how I saw it going. Oh, I was mistaken. I was very mistaken because Game 1, Anthony Edwards decided to flip the script on the whole series. Showing up in Game 1, shooting 50% from three-point range. The Minnesota Timberwolves as a whole playing unbelievable basketball. Anthony Edwards being a third high-scoring player on this team in this game. Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid shooting massive threes, playing unbelievable team basketball. Just overall, the team was playing unbelievable team basketball, shooting the lights out, and the Lakers on the other side just not getting a lot of production outside of Luka Doncic in that Game 1, especially from that bench that we've lamented down the stretch here with this Lakers team over the last couple weeks. But outside of that, Game 2 was a little bit more of a different story. the Timberwolves shooting much worse. Do not get me wrong. Anthony Edwards, still 25 points. Julius Randle playing a better game with 27. But those other two guys, of course, like I mentioned, Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, the Mike Conleys of the world, the Nickeil Alexanders of the world, the shooters for this team did not show up. Not out of the bunch, Naz Reid with the highest points out of the four with 9. If you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, you cannot expect to win games with getting that sort of production out of those core group of guys. Because in the same way that the Lakers value their big three, the Minnesota Timberwolves have a great team, and they're similarly stacked up in terms of offensive production because their 4 guys can mean more than the LeBrons and the Austin Reeves combined. Their 4 guys are better as a team than these individuals. They play more team basketball versus individual basketball that the Lakers do with their big 3. So, overall, I also think the Lakers kind of played a little bit more through Luka Doncic in the second game. Letting Luka just run the show a little bit more, facilitate the offense, give him the reins, and LeBron taking a step back in that game too. So I think that played a big role, and honestly, the efficiency for this Lakers team went through the roof. I don't think this has a big deal to do with what happened, but the Lakers defense is a very, very underrated thing. Was a very underrated part of that game too. Holding the Minnesota Timberwolves to 85 points is one thing. But I believe they held the Timberwolves to 15 points in the first quarter, held them to 20 points in the fourth quarter. Like, to do that to a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards, who's a superstar in the making in this league, with a Julius Randle, a Rudy Gobert, they still have they have a great team. Hold them to 85 points is unreal. Flat out unreal. This is not the Houston Rockets that can show up against Golden State in game 1 with a very young team, a growing offensive team, and struggle. That is not the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is the same Minnesota Timberwolves team that scored 140 in a double overtime game against the Denver Nuggets. Beat the Denver Nuggets in a 7-game series after the Nuggets won the NBA Finals in 2022. This Timberwolves team is scrappy, is feisty, is great. It's a great gritty team that pulls out gritty wins. And for the Lakers to hold that team to 85 points is just something special. It's just something that's being heavily underrated for this Lakers team. But I still stand by what I say, that they still need more production from their bench. They still need better play overall from their team. From their bench, their top 3 is still doing their thing. Luka averaging 30 points in this series. LeBron with 21 in game 2. Austin Reeves with 16. But they need the Rui Hachimuras of the world to step up. They need Gabe Vincent. They need Dorian Finney-Smith. They need Jackson Hayes. I know Jackson Hayes is going up against a Defensive Player of the Year candidate for the last 5 years in a row in Rudy Gobert. But still, you just need production out of these guys. If you want a chance to win these series, this is round 1 at the end of the day too. These rounds, round 1 has to set you guys up for how you play in round 2. You need to build off of each performance. If you're the Los Angeles Lakers, and you have to have that mindset. If you're going to into every game with a fresh, clean slate mindset, it's not going to work. You have to build up on each game. Take the goods of each game, take the bads of every single game. That's what the Lakers need to do in terms of their young guys, in terms of their bench, to give them more confidence, give them more confidence to be able to rely on themselves, and for you to rely on them. So overall, I think the Lakers have the pieces, they have the guys, the mentorship to make this team work, but they just need more emphasis in putting faith in these guys, in these young guys, in these bench players, and more emphasis on their defense. They need to show up in game 3 with that same mentality that they did in game 2. I'm not crazy. The Minnesota Timberwolves are going to show up with their heads on fire, with their hair on fire, wanting to burn the whole building down, wanting to take it straight to the Los Angeles Lakers, the way the Lakers did to them in game 2, the way they did to the Lakers in game 1. That is what they're looking to do in Minnesota, feeding off that crowd. No question, that's what they want to do. But the Lakers need to figure out a way to either stay in striking distance of the Minnesota Timberwolves, or keep up pace with them, or defend that 3-point shot. Play stellar defense, because you need to do one of those. If you do neither of those three things and you let this game get away from you, it's going to be an exact replica of game 1. Because Anthony Edwards is going to show up like a superstar, the superstar closer that he is, and just shut down your offense, shut down any momentum you guys create, because he's a player that can create his own shot, and is lethal from the 3-point, from beyond the 3-point arc. So he's able to facilitate his own offense. He's going to shut down momentum swings by himself. Unless we're going to see the Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic duel, like from the Wild Wild West, I really think the Lakers need to stay in striking distance if they want it. If they want any chance of stealing. This is one of those games that the Lakers need to steal. I don't think this is a game like Game 3 where they can sneak up on the way the New York Knicks did on the Pistons, take early momentum and keep it, because I just think the Timberwolves are on a different level than the Detroit Pistons. But Luka Doncic just needs to go crazy in this game. He needs to have flashbacks of himself in Dallas and just go absolutely ballistic in this one. So, I don't know. I think this one's going to be split once again. I think we're going to get a split Game 3, Game 4 going back to LA. If the Lakers win both of these games, this series is over. In maybe not Game 5, but Game 6 for sure. This series is over in 6 games. If Minnesota wins these next 2 games, I'm picking them to win, and honestly, I'd probably pick them to beat. Well, obviously, I'm picking them to beat the Lakers, but it's a question of when. Do I think they'll win Game 5? Absolutely not. I think Luka goes crazy and LeBron goes crazy. Game 6, maybe. Either Game 6 or Game 7 is when the Minnesota Timberwolves take out the Lakers then. If the Lakers go up 3-1, though, I could see them winning in 6 games. That's just my take on it. But I'm going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're going to switch gears back to last night's slate of games, back to recapping. Thunder coming back from 29 points down in what was a stellar point performance from both SGA and the whole Thunder's team in the second half. We're going to take a look at the keys to this one and give a little bit of an update on Ja Morant and his injury situation. Give a little bit of an update on Ja Morant's injury. So I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at Oklahoma City Thunder basketball.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting right back into it here, going into our next segment, to our third segment. It was the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Memphis Grizzlies. I apologize for that. I don't know why that format is so weird. I thought I fixed that before I hopped on here, but no biggie. The Oklahoma City Thunder coming back in this one, 29 points down, as you can see. This game was weird. I won't lie. This game raised eyebrows. I was watching this game and was just shell-shocked at what I was witnessing. The Oklahoma City Thunder beating the Memphis Grizzlies by 51 points in the first game, in game 1. Winning game 2 by almost 20 points. Have won the last 14 matchups, I believe, by an 18-point margin. And the Memphis Grizzlies are 0-14 against the Thunder over the last 2 years. That's the Oklahoma City Thunder team we're talking that showed up in Memphis last night and fell behind a Memphis Grizzlies team that took it to them all night long in the first half. That first half was completely one-sided for the Memphis Grizzlies, and it was honestly an unbelievable performance. I don't know how else to slice it. I did not expect, from a viewer's perspective, I was sitting there watching it like, what am I watching right now? Because Ja Morant, Scottie Pippen Jr. was lights out from three-point range in that first half. Desmond Bane pitching in a lot. Santi Aldama, pitching in, playing unbelievable basketball. Just Jaren Jackson Jr. as well, giving Chet Holmgren a lot of problems in the post after struggling against him in game 1, having a good game 2, and then now coming back in game 3 and continuing to build on these performances. Ja Morant had a lot to do with their strengths, with their success in that first half. Just playing great team basketball, shooting the ball pretty well. Just overall great performance from him. 15 points in the first half. This lead bloomed all the way up to 29 points at one point. 29 points in the second quarter. I believe it was like it was six. The numbers that come to, I don't know exactly what the 29-point lead was, but I remember it was 63-37 at one point in the second quarter with about 4 minutes to play. Apologize for that. Then Ja Morant happens. Ja Morant going up for a dunk. I believe he got a lob. Lou Dort standing in the way, losing his footing, slipping to the side, just stands up like this while Ja Morant goes up for the tomahawk dunk. And next thing you know, it's pretty much, imagine like this. Guy falls right over, goes horizontal, perpendicular with the ground, and Ja Morant goes hip first into the floor. Hip first, and looked immediately grabbing at that left hip. Could not walk after the game. Could not move. Could not really move after the game. Could barely walk into the locker room. Just looked like very similar to what Jimmy Butler went through against the Houston Rockets last night or 2 nights ago. Just pretty much opposite. Flip it the other way around. Jimmy Butler falling on his backside. Ja Morant falling on his front. Both pelvic contusions being listed as pelvic contusions right now. But this could be it for the Memphis Grizzlies after that injury, because especially an energizer bunny like Ja Morant for this team means so much overall with how much they use Ja Morant across the board, not only in the front court, not only to facilitate the offense, but just to spark runs, just being able to on the defensive end of the ball. Using him with Jaren Jackson Jr. in the pick and roll. Just overall, they use him in so many different ways, and he's a superstar in the making. He has a lot of off the court issues in these playoffs, especially last night. If he had won that game last night and made the series 2-1, a 2-1 series, winning a game against the Oklahoma City Thunder after losing to the team by 51 points in game 1, say you had won game 3, you go to game 4, you win game 4. It's a 2-2 series going back to Oklahoma City. You have a chance once again. You not only have made the series interesting, you have a chance to shock the world against a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder that are had the number one regular season record, had the best record in the regular season this year, having over 65 wins, which is unbelievable, winning 65 out of 80 games. And then on the flip side, a team like the Memphis Grizzlies that have struggled since firing their coach with 3 weeks to go in the regular season, coming back, having a new head coach, coming back after losing badly, to losing 2 games by a large stretch in games 1 and game 2, coming back in game 3 and game 4 and having a different sense of attitude, having a different performance, having a different energy around the team. It's just unfortunate to see. And if that is what how this series ends up, if that is the end for Ja Morant, if this series ends up as a sweep, people are going to look over at that moment and say, what could have happened? That was another what if. That could be one of the what if moments of the 2025 NBA playoffs. I don't want to speak on this too much, just because it's a call. The refs are the refs. I personally think if you called the Kentavious Caldwell-Pope foul on Jason Tatum, a flagrant foul, if you called the, I don't know if you guys remember what's his name? I can't remember his name. The rookie, Jalen Wells for the Memphis Grizzlies, who had a similar injury with a player that undercut him as he was going for a dunk against Charlotte Hornets. The player got called for a flagrant penalty too, and not exactly in the similar fashion that Lou Dort was, but definitely not as dirty. But in a similar way the play was. Of course, Jalen Wells now out with a broken wrist because of that play. But this one, in a similar fashion, Lou Dort undercutting Ja Morant while he's going for a dunk. Ja Morant falls hip first. It was a dangerous play. If you're calling fouls for 3-point shooters when a defender crowds the airspace of a shooter, crowding his ankle space, crowding his feet where his landing space, and you're calling that a flagrant foul because of a dangerous act, because of the potential of injury, how are you not calling this a flagrant foul because of the potential of injury? A player flying through the air, Lou Dort goes like this, raises his hands up, trying to seemingly protect himself. I mean, it's an instinctual thing, but I know he's in a bad position. He's slipping. He's going to fall to the floor. But at what point do you just say, you can't do that? Like, I know it's not intentional, but it's a dangerous act. It caused an injury that changed the transparency of this series. And I don't know. I just think it could have been called a flagrant penalty. One is my only take on it. And yeah, I'm not saying Lou Dort should have been ejected from this game. I was just saying it should have been called a flagrant penalty 1. But it doesn't matter. The Thunder ending up winning this game 114-108, coming back from 29 points down, the second largest comeback in NBA history, in NBA playoff history. Successful, fully comeback. I think the biggest one was 31 points, but by the Clippers in 2019, if I remember the graphic correctly. Overall, just a stellar performance all around from the Oklahoma City Thunder, and major props. I'm projecting them to win this series in Game 4, decisively winning Game 4, and moving on to the second, being the first team to clinch their spot in the second round of this year's NBA playoffs. But I'm going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the Los Angeles Clippers. Had a massive game against the Denver Nuggets. I did make a little bit of an oopsie yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that. But, of course, we got to talk about the Los Angeles Clippers, Denver Nuggets. What ended up happening in this one? One team pretty much decisively beating the other team. Wasn't really a close game by any stretch, and we'll discuss everything that happened in this one. I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Los Angeles Clippers, Denver Nuggets basketball.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting right back into it here for our fourth segment. We're going to take a look at the Los Angeles Clippers and Denver Nuggets. Honestly, this was an oopsie on my part. Yesterday, I have no idea what NBA schedule I am looking at that I don't see this game and I don't preview it on my show. This series is by far probably my favorite series of these NBA playoffs, and my eyes somehow gloss over the tiny fine print of saying today, 10 p.m. It just threw me for a loop because I watched the Thunder Grizzlies game and I look in the top right and I see Denver, LA. I'm like, what? This game's happening tonight? And I didn't talk because I knew on my show I didn't talk about it. I thought it was for tomorrow, but that was a little bit of an oopsie on my part. I apologize for that, but will not happen again. The Los Angeles Clippers winning this one by 20 points. A game that I did not see this coming. I thought it was going to be another close game, same as game 1 and game 2, another thrilling finish. Overall, this is a series. This is one of those series that the star power is on full display, that you really expect both teams going back and forth, throwing haymakers at each other down the stretch. That's what game 1 and game 2 have been. But this one, just the Clippers winning this one decisively. It was not close. 117 to 83 being the final score, winning this game by over 30 points, 34 to be exact. This game was not close by any stretch. 6 Los Angeles Clippers getting into double figures here. 3 of them finishing with 20-plus points, led by Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi with 21, James Harden with 20, and Norman Powell also with 20 points. Kawhi also with 11 rebounds. Him continuing to grow back into the Claw Phenom tag, that title that he used to have back in the day in 2019 as a part of the Toronto Raptors, back in the day when he was a part of the San Antonio Spurs, just being the defensive guru, that all-around toolbox kind of guy, the utility guy, but also one of the best utility guys in the NBA by far, with a offensive game that's highly underrated, a defensive game that's phenomenal, a facilitating game, rebounder, all around. Doesn't really turn the ball over too much. I only even finished with 2 turnovers in this one. I know he had 7 turnovers in game 1. That's why I went to go check that stat. He's getting better. Give him time. He's only been with the Clippers for the last 3 months or so, since March when they went on their run to finish the season, finishing 19-3 over their last 22 games. Kawhi Leonard is a big reason why this Clippers team is having so much success right now, and a major props to him leading this team into the playoffs. Really looking like this Clippers team, continuing every game that goes by, just looks like they're gaining more confidence, improving their game overall, and just phenomenal basketball from Kawhi Leonard here down the stretch. Another unsung hero for this Clippers team, Chris Dunn, who's played phenomenal defense down the stretch here. In game 1 and game 2, didn't have any steals or blocks in this one, but in game 1 and game 2, having a couple crucial steals in that one. Honestly, just a great game. Great role player. A player that's really bounced around the league, similar to Dennis Schroeder, but not as much of a. Imagine Dennis Schroeder with the defensive ability. Imagine their game switch from offense to defense. Like their offense being their defense, their defense being their offense. In terms of strength, in terms of how potent they are. That's Chris Dunn for you. He has the defensive skill level that Dennis Schroeder has offensively. It's pretty much that's the trade-off with Chris Dunn. But yeah, this team continues to play phenomenal basketball. The Denver Nuggets, on the other side, continuing to raise eyebrows, continuing to be a question mark. We know they fired Mike Malone with a week to go in the regular season. Why? Completely baffles me at this point. Even if this is this is worse than what we saw with Ime Udoka. This is worse than what we saw with Taylor Jenkins with the Memphis Grizzlies 2 weeks prior. The Denver Nuggets being NBA champions 2 years prior. The Denver Nuggets being the number 3 seed in a gauntlet of a Western Conference. The Denver Nuggets with the best player in the NBA, in Nikola Jokic, averaging 40 and 15 and 10 in his sleep. When we've seen over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks or so, since the close of the regular season and the start of the NBA playoffs, we've seen his numbers take a little bit of a slip because I'm not going to necessarily point it at the coach, at a new scheme, but it's fair to assess that his point dip, his offensive dip in terms of scoring numbers, how much he averages per game, has taken a significant hit down the stretch here. I think he was averaging about 30 a game or 29. Now he's averaging closer to 23, 24 points a game. That 5-point difference is big on an up and down scale, because we normally expect him to score. I honestly have not seen Nikola Jokic score more than 30 points since Mike Malone was fired. I'm going to go down the slate here and just check and see if my assessment is true. But I'm pretty sure. I'm 90% sure, because I look at a lot of these box scores. I watch a lot of these games from the Denver Nuggets. I really have not seen Jokic go over 30 points since that firing. It's baffling to me. Yeah, Wednesday, April 9th was the first game since Mike Malone was fired against the Sacramento Kings. Since April 9th, Nikola Jokic has not scored more than 26 in a game. Is that the number? 29 he had in game 1. 29 is the most points he's had in a game since Mike Malone being fired. And this was a player that we saw scoring 30, 40, 50, 60 points in games down the stretch, especially in February, especially in March. We saw him have that 40-20 game. Like, this is the Denver Nuggets. This is Nikola Jokic. This is the best player in the NBA. And his numbers are taking a dip since the coach has been fired. His minutes numbers have not taken a hit, but it's his offensive efficiency, his free throw game that's taken a dip. His confidence, he's just like, if you ask me, we already know, if you guys watch NBA, like, I know a lot of you guys probably do if you're watching this show. You know Denver Nuggets, you know Nikola Jokic is kind of one of those guys that shows up, wants to play basketball, and then goes home. We saw it in the NBA Finals 2 years ago. The reporter asked him, "Oh, how are you feeling about this game? How is this champ? What does the championship means to you?" And Nikola Jokic stands there and says, "I'm just ready to go home. I'm ready to go home. I miss home. Can I please go home? When's the parade? I want to go home." Like, he wants to go back to his home country, back to Serbia. That is the type of guy that Jokic is. He shows up, plays basketball as an occupation. He loves it because he's good at it. He's the best basketball player in the NBA right now, by far, in terms of skill, in terms of shooting everywhere, across the board. And this guy, just like it feels like he's lost his love of the game. He's lost his passion. That's what it looks like. And we saw it late in the game last night, where he got into a little bit of not a fight, but he got into an argument with David Adelman, or I don't know exactly. It was either David Adelman, the current interim head coach for this Denver Nuggets team, or it was an assistant coach. I think it might have been an assistant coach. I saw the video this morning. I just can't remember if it was either or. But regardless, he was getting into an argument on the bench with one of the coaches, with one of the personnel, and he's being told to calm down, calm down. How are you supposed to calm down when you're losing by 30 points? It's just a sign that this team is just discombobulated. They've lost their leader in their locker room. They've lost their culture setter. Mike Malone, obviously, since coming to Denver in, 2017, 2018? Might have been after that, actually. It might have been closer to 2021 or 2020. Regardless, Mike Malone, since coming to Denver, has done nothing but win. Has brought nothing but a winning culture. He drafted Nikola Jokic, drafted Jamal Murray, brought Aaron Gordon over, drafted Michael Porter Jr., brought Russell Westbrook in. Like, this team is built. it's Mike Malone's team. He brought all these guys, he corralled all these guys, he galvanized the troops to win a championship in 2022. And because of a little argument for whatever, nobody's gonna know. Let's be real. We're probably never gonna find out what actually happened that transpired in the firing of Mike Malone with a week to go in the regular season. Same way we'll never know what happened with the Taylor Jenkins firing. Same way we'll never know what happened with the Ime Udoka firing in Boston. This is things that just happen with ownership or whatnot in the upper parts of buildings that nobody really talks about. It's unfortunate to see what's transpiring over there in Denver, because personally, Denver was one of my favorite teams. Jokic is one of the best players in the NBA. Jamal Murray's is a great feel-good story. Tearing his either ACL or Achilles, I can't remember, 2 years ago in 2021. Or was it 21? I forget. I think it was 21. In 2020, he tore his ACL. 2022 winning the NBA Finals, 2023 being hurt in the NBA playoffs, and this year dealing with a lot of injuries, but still coming back and still scoring averaging about 20 points a game in this series. This team is a great team. The Denver Nuggets are still a great team. They're still one of the most underrated teams in the Western Conference by far. I get it. But it's just not fair to look up at this team and say a lot of their struggles. Last night was the most glaring one so far, though. Last night was the most glaring one, going into LA and getting your you-know-what smacked by over 35, almost 35 points. It's tough. It's tough to see overall. So, do I think this changes the series a little bit? I think the Nuggets kind of have to come out in Game 4 and win, especially after a loss like that. If you lose Game 4, I know the Clippers were up 3-1 on the Denver Nuggets in 2020. I know that happened. And I know it feels like we're going down a similar path. If LA wins Game 4, of course. But do I think this is going to be another Doc Rivers blunder? Do I think Jokic can clean it up the way he did in 2020? Do I think Jamal Murray can show up and show out the way he did in 2020? I like Ty Lue. I like the team that they've built around Kawhi Leonard here. I think James Harden is not Paul George this year. James Harden has showed up, has been very reliable all regular season. I think Ivica Zubac is taking leaps. I think Norman Powell is a great addition to this team. I think they have a bunch of players that can really make noise here. And I think this does change the series. I think this series ends in 5 or 6 games. I would not be shocked if the Clippers win the next 2 games in a row and this series is over. I would not be shocked at all, because that is what it feels like that. Last night was a devastating loss for this Nuggets team. And it's going to be something that is going to take... Game 4 is must win for this Denver Nuggets team. I know they're going to be down 3-1 if they lose. It's not over. But you cannot lose the way you did last night and come out in Game 4 and lose. I know it's in LA. You have to show up in Game 4. Either you have to show up in Game 4 and make it a thrilling finish, the game of the series, and you lose in spectacular fashion to a buzzer beater or whatnot from the Clippers, or you get demolished and you lose Game 5, or you win Game 4 and make Game 5 much more interesting again and bring a little bit more respect to your name as a team overall, and just respect, confidence that your team can continue and be competitive heading into Game 5. That's my rant on this Denver Nuggets team, but it is what it is. It's tough to see a Denver Nuggets team led by Nikola Jokic like this being just dismantled what feels like from the inside out. So it's just tough to see. I'm going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the other 2 games for the NBA slate, both tonight. And if we have some extra time, we'll take a look at the weekend slate as well and give a little bit of my predictions heading into Monday, which is my next show, of course. I'm going to take one last short break, and when we come back, we're going to preview the rest of the NBA slate tonight and possibly the weekend as well. Be right back, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting right back into our last segment of the show here. We got 3 games on. We're gonna. Well, we can talk about. Yeah, why not? I don't know. After honestly, I built this title thinking, absolutely forgetting that I don't have a show tomorrow or Sunday. So we might just scratch this whole thing. We'll still talk about Boston and Indiana, how their keys of their series. We'll talk about it briefly. But I kind of want to give it a little bit of an update across the board because these NBA games are no joke. And I really think I think a prediction looking into the weekend slate could be just better overall. I like it more. So we're going with that. So in game 1, of course, we have Boston heading into Orlando tonight. I'm expecting no Jason Tatum in this one once again. I'm still dealing with that wrist injury overall, and just it's a tough blow to this Boston Celtics team. But at the same time, they're facing an Orlando Magic team that's struggling offensively so far in this season, playing good defensively. Don't get me wrong, but offensively having issues down the stretch, especially in the fourth quarter. The experience of the Boston Celtics showing up time and time again in the fourth quarter, even though the games are getting close. The Magic or 2 nights ago, bringing the game within 2 points in game 2, and game 1 having the lead going into the half, and then the third quarter being the Celtics light switch. Flip of the switch, if you want to call it. That's the word that's the phrase I'm looking for the Celtics offense. But yeah, I'm probably picking Boston to win this one. Orlando could give them problems. I think Paolo would need to have honestly, they need to have a night the way they did against Atlanta. If they could show up and shoot the way they did against Atlanta, and give the Celtics problems with Cole Anthony Black shooting the ball lights out, Paulo Banchero shooting pretty well, Franz Wagner being an impact in the low post. If they can do that and still play good defense, they have a shot to beat Boston tonight. Absolutely. But do I think that'll happen? I mean, I'm not going to base predictions off of the luck standpoint. I'll give a scenario where it happens, and that's a scenario where that happens. But in terms of legitimate talent, in terms of who should win this game, and based on how the first 2 games have gone, who will win this game, I'm going with Boston to go up 3-0 in this series. And most likely, Jason Tatum will not be seen in this series going into game 4 as well. I expect the Celtics to take care of business, win game 3, win game 4. Game 4, I believe, is on Sunday. Yep, it is on Sunday night. So this series should be over by Monday, and I will be able to... I'm projecting to recap it on Monday, so I'll get that ready to go. But getting into the next game here, we got the Pacers and the Bucks, a series that really was circled in the Eastern Conference prior to these playoffs starting. Obviously, we know the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo, they have Damian Lillard back. I see, what is that, Channel About Nada. That's a funny name. Go Bucks. Yeah, I mean, if the Bucks want to win this game, if the Bucks want to still be competitive and have a chance in this series, they have to win tonight. We need to see Giannis going for 40 points. We need to see Damian Lillard go for a nice go do a little bit better than 14. If you can have about 18, 19, 20 points maybe, just lighten the burden on Giannis a little bit. Give Giannis a little bit of an opportunity. Give him show him a glimmer of light to give him a chance to win this game, because we know Giannis can go off for 40 and 10 in his sleep. Especially in Milwaukee, it gives them a chance to win this game. We'll see how this game ends up transpiring. But I do have to. This is really do or die for Giannis. But I hate to be the bringer of bad news, man, or Channel About Nada. I think this Pacers team is just one of the dark horses of the Eastern Conference right now. How deep they are, I think The depth is the difference of this series. Top heavy, you have Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam going against Giannis and Damian Lillard. Of course, that's not a good matchup. But after those top two guys, look at the rest. You have Miles Turner, you have Aaron Nesmith, Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin. You have a plethora of guys on this Pacers team that can go off for 10 plus, 15 plus points a game whenever they want. And I didn't even mention Andrew Nembhard. And then you have on the other side, it's just like you can't compare apples to oranges in terms of levels of depth. I think the Pacers just depth give the Bucks so many problems, especially with their second line, especially when Giannis needs a break, when Damian Lillard needs a break. It's a similar situation with the Los Angeles Lakers in terms of how their depth is a big issue with this team, with that team. I think the depth is going to be a big issue, and I just don't know how they're going to be able to combat that. I do see you're typing in the chat, Pascal Siakam has been a difference maker for the Pacers. Absolutely. And he's a former champion with the Toronto Raptors. He has the championship experience. A young team in the Indiana Pacers who went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year are just going to continue to try and build on that team. Still have that core group of guys that went there last year too. So they're just going to continue to build on that confidence. And we're seeing Tyrese Halliburton, who's becoming... How Tyrese Halliburton is being named as the most overrated player in the NBA right now is baffling to me. I understand that he's one of the best. Like, I understand that his offensive game is basically non-existent. I know, especially in the regular season, he averages like 5 points and 12 assists some games. I get it. But in the playoffs, we know what Tyrese Halliburton is in the playoffs. He's the same assist guy that he is in the regular season, but add another 15, 20 points a game in the playoffs. That's Tyrese Halliburton. I've said it before in the show, he's very Magic Johnson-esque. In terms of his style of play, he doesn't have the defense that Magic Johnson has. Absolutely not. But in terms of pure point guard, making your teammates around you better, being able to facilitate the offense, pass the ball, and assist demon. Imagine the assist handle of Steve Nash, but with the height of Magic Johnson and the shot of... Who can I compare him to in terms of shooting? Imagine the shot of like a younger Jason Tatum. I don't know. But that's Tyrese Halliburton. He's a great player. He's a young, great player that's really blossoming into a superstar in this league. And I think he's more underrated right now, I think, than he is overrated. So I think there's a lot of... I really think the Pacers are one of the most underrated teams in the Eastern Conference. Based on their depth, based on their star players, and they're a team a lot of people are looking over. Yes, these two teams do hate each other. It's going to be fireworks in Milwaukee. I think this is going to be... I don't know if you remember early in the regular season when Tyrese Halliburton hit the game winner over Giannis to win the game. Right? It was either a game winner or it was a foul on the 3-point shot that ended up being... No, it was a 3-pointer and a foul. It was a 4-point play to win the game. I actually remember that now. Sorry, I forgot about that. I think it's going to be a similar situation to that with how close the game's going to be tonight. I think Giannis is going to have a field day. He's going to take the bull by the horns, do or die, like you said, and I think he's going to have that mentality going into this game. And it's going to be interesting to see how Indiana responds. I think that Indiana bench is going to have to step up to the plate and be able to take care of some of the slack that the starting lineup can't deal with, and what Giannis gives them in terms of his play. So it'll be an interesting game, but I still got the Pacers winning this one, going up 3-0. I just don't think Doc Rivers is a good coach. I think Doc Rivers has to go after this year. I'm so sorry, but like after his stints in LA, his stint in Philadelphia, his stint, where else did he coach? Didn't he coach in Phoenix as well? Or am I think he coached twice in Milwaukee. That's the one I'm thinking of. Overall, anyway, he's a player that needs to go. He really does. He's a guy that needs to go into the sunset, and I don't know. he's a guy that needs to walk away from the game of basketball. Head back into the broadcast booth. Doc Rivers was a great broadcaster alongside Mike Breen when he was doing it. He did it for a couple months, if you guys remember, before he got offered the job in Milwaukee. So we'll see how that ends up transpiring. If Milwaukee loses, we blow up the franchise. I think Giannis requests a trade out. I think that's a topic for another day, because what is going to happen to Giannis if this team gets swept again, or loses in the first round once again? They just haven't been. You guys haven't been to the Eastern Conference Finals since the year that you guys won it all. You lost to the Boston Celtics in 2022. 2023, obviously the Miami year. I know that year stings. It stings for us Boston Celtics fans too. Miami did the same thing, turned around and did the same thing to us. 2024, what was it? Indiana? Was it Indiana in 2024? I think so. It was Indiana once again in 2024. And now the Indiana do it again. The Pacers do it once again to you guys. I think Giannis just wants to win. He wants to compete for championships, and he's probably going to be out on that one. I don't know. It's just unfortunate to see. I think maybe Milwaukee can win a game and stretch the series over to a game 5, but I don't know if I can pick it. It's hard. My heart says that Milwaukee's going to win one of these games, because I do love Giannis. I think Giannis is going to go off and have a 50-40 point game. I think Damian Lillard's blood clots and injuries down the stretch really hurt this team, and we didn't see Damian Lillard. The worst part about this is we might not see Damian Lillard and Giannis on the court together in the playoffs, healthy. Last year we didn't see it. Damian Lillard was hurt. Wait, no, Giannis was hurt last year. Excuse me. This year, Damian Lillard is hurt. And even though he's coming back into the lineup, this is a guy that's coming off blood clot treatment, the guy that hasn't had any contact in the NBA in terms of physical play outside of Game 2, where he only had 14 points and didn't really shoot the ball very well. I don't know how much of a impact he's going to have. That's the thing. So I don't know. I think a revamp of the offense is much needed. Maybe you go... Kyle Kuzma is out there doing cardio. It looked like a good trade early on, but I just don't know. You guys got Kyle Kuzma out of the penitentiary known as the Washington Wizards, brought him out to a new team, and it's just like, it's unfortunate to see that he's just not performed to the level that we thought he would. Giannis will be a warrior. I could really see it, honestly. I think that we have to come back to this topic another day. Absolutely. I cannot wait to have that discussion. It's probably going to be an after the season discussion, just because I don't know. The NBA playoffs are so, there's so much going on in the NBA world right now, but definitely we are going to have the discussion of where Giannis is going to go. Last note, Giannis might go. We've seen some reports of him really liking the New York area. I would not be shocked if he went to the Knicks or he went to the Nets. The Nets are a prime destination that want him. Does he want to go to the Nets? Most likely not, but I think he'd much rather go to the Warriors for sure. But that'll do it for me today, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't even get to the weekend slate just because we kind of got into that Indiana-Boston debate, especially that Indiana-Milwaukee series. It's fireworks. I love talking about it. It's one of the ones that I circled before the playoffs started, and I wish it could go on a little bit longer. I wish Damian Lillard could be healthy in these playoffs, but it just isn't. We can always hope. Unfortunate. It's an unfortunate place to be. But thank you guys for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference, more than you guys think. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you guys once again for another unbelievable show. Happy Friday to you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Channel About Nada, keep doing your thing, bro. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Happy basketball. Keep watching the NBA world because it is all unfolding right now. Hopefully the Pacers are still in it. I mean, the Bucks are still in it. Hopefully the Orlando Magic are in it, still in it. Hopefully the Memphis Grizzlies are still in it. But there is a real world that these 3 series could be over by Monday. This is Mehrob Fatemi, the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, signing off. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet.